So the Dublin Racing Festival is upon us and is the second episode of the Irish Edge with myself, Johnny Ward and Tommy Lyons. We're sponsored by Boyle Sports, and Boyle Sports are giving money back if you're second to the SP favourite across the Dublin Racing Festival. 18 plus, Republic of Ireland and UK online only. Terms and conditions apply. Make sure to gamble responsibly. So we're going to go through every single race. We have the declarations for day one. No British runner with Haiti Couleur not taking his chance, basically because of the weather, Tommy. Nearly 60 mils in the 24 hours leading up to, was it yesterday? And obviously the track was waterlogged then. They've worked on that. It goes without saying, this is a major difficulty for punters, if it's on, obviously.
Yeah, if it's on, and hopefully it will be. I mean, I'm sure there's contingency there, Johnny, that if it can't go ahead Saturday, it might go ahead Sunday, Monday, or Monday, Tuesday, or something. It'll be in the next few days anyway. Somehow they'll do what's best to kind of make sure that they have a very raceable track for 2 days anyway. It's the most important thing. But I mean, I arrived in Dublin today. The rain was torrential coming into Dublin, and then I had an umbrella as I was walking to a bus stop to get in here, and it just folded inside out. So you'd think this was a strong wind, that it might help dry it a little bit, but there's a lot more rain due in the next few days. So I mean, it makes it extremely difficult, because you'd imagine the way we've seen Cheltenham festivals over the last decade or more, it's generally decent ground, so it'd be very different to what we're going to deal with the weekend. So I'd just be aware of that, or you'd have it in the back of your mind as you're looking ahead towards Cheltenham after, when we're maybe analysing the results of the Dublin Racing Festival next week or so. Yeah,
and Leopardstown is quite a unique track as well. It's very rare that we have a situation like this. It's obviously really rare that you get this sort of rain in Dublin, which would make me sort of a little bit, wary of, it's going to be absolutely bottomless ground. It's kind of almost hard to know what the ground will exactly be like.
It dries so quickly. And that's a concern. I mean, for the all the years I was working with the examiner, the one thing I was kind of frustrating me was when I look at a race meeting and go, okay, I'm basing it on my selections now on this ground, and then you arrive up a couple of days later and it's completely different, and you're kind of going, it's a rejig of the whole thing nearly. So yeah, I'd look at, you're fairly certain it's going to be testing the weekend, but just how testing? Like, will it be bottomless, or will the track do what it normally does and dry up really, really well? It's just, as somebody said to me, if it gets the bottom, kind of the lowest level of what they're expecting rainfall wise, it'll be perfectly fine. But if it gets the worst of potentially, on the spectrum of what they're talking about between the amount of rain that could arrive, if it gets the worst of it, it'll take some getting through.
Yeah, and Boyles is doing a new customer exclusive offer as well. Bet €10 and get €6 in free bets, and a €10 casino bonus, or bet €10 and get €70 in free bets. Terms and conditions apply, and make sure to gamble responsibly. Republic of Ireland and Northern Irish customers only. We're actually going to just get straight into it because we have so many races to get through. And the first horse running on the first day, number one in the first race in the first, is to me Dr. Steinberg. This is the lay of the festival at the prices. This doesn't make any sense. I'm not even sure Dr. Steinberg is considered a better horse than Love Me Tender, who's double figures. Now, I remember in this race, so this is the 115 on Saturday, the Nathaniel, Lacy and Partners Solicitors Novice Hurdle. I remember in this race last year thinking Final Demand was basically too short on the form that he'd shown. Final Demand, though, was considered like a really good horse. After Dr. Steinberg beat 3 rivals in Navan, one of whom flopped, the favourite, Danny Mullins said he keeps surprising us, right? So this is a horse who, he won in Ballinrobe, he finished 5th to Murat in Galway. Murat's a good horse. He beat Frankie John in Galway. Frankie John is 33s for this race. Even money favourite Boyle Sports. If this horse goes off evens or shorter, I do feel like giving up with the game. I just think this is mad. Now, having said that, Tommy, I'm not entirely sure what to take him on with. What do you like?
I thought you were going to say you're not sure what to do with your career afterwards.
I've had that before. Your career is flying, actually. Yeah, I got the show last week. Great reaction, all that. We tipped a few winners. What's going to win this?
Well, I'm like you. I mean, I can see that Dr. Steinberg could win it, but I certainly wouldn't be backing it at 11 to 10. I mean, think about it. If you said to me after this horse got beaten in the bumper in Galway in summer that it would be favourite for a Grade 1 at the Dublin Racing Festival, I laughed at you. I said, Johnny, you do need another career. But
he beat the devil, who did back up the form. But Kovanis, who was third, was sent off 80 to 1 the next day. That Navan form for me is neither here nor there with view to this race. It's certainly making him even money favourite.
And it was a slowly run race and a 4-runner fair, which wouldn't have suited the devil. The devil, got in the River Don in Doncaster. He got a pace he wanted. He was able to drop right out, come through, and look very impressive. It was very impressive. Let's be honest about it. But I mean, this is completely different. I mean, Dr. Steinberg, I mean, he wasn't even, a top bumper horse. He had to go to Ballinrobe to be a 3's on chance to win a bumper, having been, a well-beaten third in Fairyhouse behind Copic de Board, 22 lengths, beaten by Sunny Southwest. I mean, he's obviously better. He's probably better over hurdles than he was as a bumper horse. But I mean, he's gone from winning a Galway maiden, Frankie John's a decent horse, and winning the Grade 2 to be in favour for a Grade 1. It's not for me. I mean, the fact that he even ran in Galway, the horses to me that run in Galway, national hunt horses,
summer horses kind of or whatever.
Well, they generally get as far as Fairyhouse and Royal Bond kind of meeting, and then that's them for until next spring, and that's what I kind of half expected when I see a horse like that. So I mean, I'd be surprised only for the fact he's trained by William Mullins. I'd be surprised if he won a Grade 1 at the Dublin Racing Festival.
Willie has 19 runners on Saturday. Gordon has 23, and they have the key to this race, I imagine.
I think look, Gordon obviously has. I mean, Kazansky's done little wrong. Would have finished second on debut in Down Royal in a maiden hurdle, but for his stable companion, the Flying King, falling and then bringing him down or forcing him to unseat. I like Santa Suspir.
I saw him win the last day at Clonmel, and he was very impressive.
It's only Clonmel, which sounds derogatory, but like when you're talking about going to Leopardstown, it's Clonmel, which is considered a country track. I thought he was good that day. Charles might have given him a bit of a race. He had been travelling a bit too keenly, Charles, just before he fell.
Yeah,
and he still had 5 or 6 lengths to make up. But what I did like the fact that Santa Suspir quickened nicely.
This was dropping back in trip, which wouldn't necessarily have suited either.
Yeah, I thought it was a lovely performance. I mean, Tackle Tommy Woo Woo is a decent horse, but dour stayer, not proven on the ground. All his form is on a bit better. Interesting horse, maybe at a much bigger price. Johnny Jalan Dudery, who was a smart horse in bumpers, wasn't beaten that far in the champion bumper, missed about a year and a half afterwards. Beaten first time back, you definitely forgive that. Beaten on better ground, not beaten far the last day on better ground, back on favoured kind of heavy ground. I can see at 20 to 1 he could run into a place, but I mean, if you want to ask me, do I want to take 20 to 1 about him or 7 or around about 6 or 7 to 1 Santa Suspir? I think I'll go with Santa Suspir.
Yeah, I genuinely do feel Dr. Steinberg is one of the worst prices I've seen in a Grade 1 at even money, just on the basis of everything I know about him. Yesh Hill, who was behind Kazansky at Limerick, he was only 4 to 1 that day. That was a messy race. I actually think he could be better than that at 40 to 1.
That's funny. I watched that race again last night and again this morning just to remind myself. I actually thought Yesh Hill ran okay that day. I think that's a better effort than it looked. He was trying to make the pace, and it was just a kind of a funny race. I actually thought he'd run well too.
Yeah, so that's race 1. Both of us very keen to take on the favourite. It's actually almost my strongest view of the day is taking him on. It does get quite competitive as the racing goes on, but we're into another favourite who, for me, my mate wants me to back Narciso Haas for the Triumph, and I'm wondering, should I take the bet myself? Are there other horses to come out? I think the British aren't too bad this year. He's 4 to 5 in this with Boyle Sports, which I think might be top price. This is the Gannon City Recovery and Recycling Services Juvenile Hurdle. Don't laugh at me now, but when I was talking to Gordon Elliott about Barberstown, I more or less said to him, this is about a week ago, I said he didn't run too badly sort of at Christmas. He said, we're very disappointed in him, and he came up with, they've done something with him since, which I can't remember what it was, but they've come up with some, I think, idea that he might be better than that. And he was only a 2 to 1 shot that day. For me, he didn't run his race, and Mange 2 as well, who obviously beat Narciso Haas at Fairyhouse, leading the charge against this favourite. Good thing or no?
I think he probably will win. Look, he's £4 worse off with Mange 2 for being beaten by Mange 2 that day. I did think, watching the race at the time, I did think that Narciso Haas was ridden to win the race if he could, but it was his first run.
Look after him.
Just mind him. Now he mind him, but if he can win the race, win the race. That's the way it looked to me at the time. I thought, this is a gorgeous horse. I actually thought he improved so much. He looked more mature than a 4-year-old the last day. I thought he looked a proper horse to me. Now I know he's £7 to give to Mange 2. I thought Gordon said during the week, did he not say that maybe Mange 2 looking the best of his juveniles? She is obviously very good. She's unbeaten. Just as she had the benefit of the run before she beat Narciso Haas. I liked Narciso Haas a lot. Willie has an interesting one, Selma de Very. I watched her race in Auteuil the last day. She was way out the back. I mean,
this is why we pay you the big bucks. You're watching races in France and everything. But he often unveils a kind of a dark horse in this race from France or whatever.
I have to find purpose in my life, Johnny.
You won't find it here. What did you find in Selma de Very?
Well, I tell you, I found she was way out the back in a quite a big field, and travelled through. She was a little bit keen even. She travelled through sweetly and thought, she's been a bit keen that she might not pick up, and then she quickened away. I'd say she's smart. Now that run was in November, so Willie can't have her too long, and so obviously I think he probably needs to to kind of I presume, when you bring a horse in, you let it down a bit, you bring it back into your system, and it takes a bit of time. I wouldn't suspect that it's ready to show just how good it is yet, but I'd say it's a fair tool, Sam, at a very.
I find this race tricky because I was really taken by Narciso Haas the last year, but I might give Barbs another chance. He looked brilliant at Navan, and he's a very good flat horse as well.
As well as that, he wasn't exposed when he was bought out of John Murphy's. I mean, he was gone up into the 94 or something.
He only won 4 or 5 times. I watched him in Killarney, and when he was a bit eye catching, I actually backed him in Punchdown. But I was surprised at Navan how well he stayed on the ground that day. I know it was a slowly run race. Definitely feel he's better than he showed the last day.
I'd be surprised if he's not better than 129, but like it might just take a little bit of time to get it out of him fully. But I was disappointed the last day. Behind Narciso Haas, I thought it was ordinary. I was expecting a bit more out of him as well. Now he was a 2-1 chance. I suppose everybody's expecting a bit more out of him. He was bought for, I think, was it $250,000 or something?
That sounds about right. Yeah,
something. It sounds. I think I heard something around about that sort of price it was. I think he's probably better than it. But these are probably proper national hunt horses he's up against here in kind of proper national hunt ground. So I think maybe even if he struggles this weekend, I wouldn't write him off.
Yeah, tricky one for me, that race. On to the third race on day one of the Dublin Racing Festival, the DRF. The race and stay at Leopardstown Handicap Hurdle. Firstly on this, Tommy, I think dipped in Moonlight is too short. Mike Kennelly takes off 7, but obviously racing out of the handicap like some of the others. So we've 18, 19, 20, 7 horses here racing on 10 stone, but some out of the handicap. Obviously dipping the Moonlight is a strong fancy. Now I got to mention County Final was second to Kazansky at Limerick, so keep an eye on that form very very closely if you want to back County Final. But the other McManus runner, Son of Anarchy, he flashed home at Navan the last year over 2.5. They'd be 2 against the field for me, but
I'd have 2
one of them won't win.
I'd have 2 of them against the field in that as well. Actually, I thought Son of Anarchy for me as well was most interesting.
Sometimes you look at a McManus horse and you think, they almost rode him for the next day, or they've a bigger plan in mind. It wasn't like that in Navan. He was just caught. He was just outpaced, but he flashed home.
And I think there was a decent reputation about him before he ever raced, and I think it just took him a bit of time, whether there was a small issue there or whatever. He's 7 years of age. It's obviously taken a bit of time to get him this far. I loved the effort the last day. I loved it. I mean, maybe he was disappointing. I'm not sure what the reasons might have been, but he was definitely very good in Punchdown, beating Racky, who maybe ground wasn't right for Racky or whatever else. But I think the last day, as you said, just outpaced and flew home, and I thought stepping up and trip would be ideal for Son of Anarchy. The other one that might be half interested, maybe at a big price, is out of the handicap, as you say. One of those is San Lafor, the Philip Fenton horse, number 22. Look, he's £13 better off, having finished behind Son of Anarchy. I just thought the last day seemed to be a bit of an improved effort, flew home, and there was an interesting horse actually in fourth that day as well, which we'll be talking about in a different race. So I thought maybe San Lafor, even though it's out of the handicap, could run a big race around about 16-1 as well. So Son of Anarchy is 9 or 10-1. Is he around about that sort of price of Boyles? And San Lafor is something is bigger even. So I thought those 2 against the field. I do like County Final as a horse, and possibly it'll win. But I backed it last twice. I just don't want to go. I don't want to go to the well again and find there's nothing there. Yeah, it's one of the tricky ones for as a punter. 6 places as well if you're getting involved each way in that contest. Which brings us on to the 255. Unquestionably the disappointing aspect of the festival so far. Now, the owner of Kopek de Board saying it was heartbreaking, the news this morning, that he wasn't running. I mean, I've owned horses. If that's heartbreaking, not having an unbelievably good horse running in one race, you should see the bills that I've tried to pay over the years. I think the wording might be a bit strong, but for all of that, this is a disappointing 3-horse race, in my view anyway. Desperately. I've had disappointments in horse racing too, but if I owned Kopek de Board, I'd be quite happy. Well,
to be fair now, the betting throughout the week was very iffy on him running anyway, because Romeo Cooley was coming in, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. We don't have an awful lot of information on it. He's gone well out and out in the Arkle betting Kopek de Boards, but this I mean, I don't know, there shouldn't be 3-horse grade 1s at all, if at all possible. Like, there should be like almost guaranteed prize money back to 8s or something to help ensure 8 places, to ensure that people want to. But like, obviously we don't have British runners here at the festival, and for whatever reason we've 3 runners in this.
Yes, it's desperately disappointing, and I don't even think it's much of a race. As much as I like Cargizi, and she's a decent mare, I just don't think it's much of a race. I think Romeo Coolio wins. Wasn't bowled over by him at Leopardstown the last day at all, by any means.
Absolutely.
But the one thing I did like about the performance is he did get the job done eventually. As much as Irish Panther looked like a desperately disappointing horse for a long time, he's turned inside out and he's been running really well for Hearties. This year was a cracking effort the last day, but I just think Romeo Coolio, I like the fact that he found a way to win when he wasn't going to be impressive and things maybe weren't exactly right for him. Do you remember straight after that race they talked about should we be stepping him up in trip again? Was the 2 mile one too sharp from or whatever? And I think that was what Gordon kind of relayed initially, and then Jack came back and said no, I'm not sure that was the issue at all. And he just
Gordon talked about race riding as well, that Jack got into a bit of a pocket and he was happy that he got out.
I thought he should have been more impressive than that anyway. I don't think the pocket was a good enough issue or a good enough reason to say that he shouldn't have won it a bit more easily than he did. But I just still like the fact that he dug it out, because Irish Panther ran a hell of a race. I mean, that run from Irish Panther was the run that we kind of expected when we were watching him. I mean, I remember watching him, I think it was Clonmel, but I was some of the country tracks watching him going, he's an absolute certainty today, and then him getting beaten and getting frustrated. And all of a sudden he's turned inside out. He is the horse that he promised to be, or the ability was always there. So the fact that Romeo Coolio dug it out, I liked it. I don't think reading the Bear form is going to excite you, but he should win this. I mean, Cargizi, that run the last day, I mean, it just was a nothing race. You're allowed to go off in front, get clear, jump well, and sure.
God, Romeo Coolio's into 3s now for the Arkle, because that's obviously in light of the Copac de Boards not being declared, which again, as I say, we don't really know why he hasn't been declared. There's not. But Romeo Coolio 3s for the Arkle taking on Lulamba, is that a bit short? I've been putting him up for the Arkle. I thought he was bigger than that.
Well, look, he has a good record. He's run very well around Cheltenham. But if the ground is decent, which it normally is, it kind of good to soft, I nearly expect nearly by not even asking the question for the first day of the Cheltenham Festival. 2 miles there. Cheltenham's a stiff track, obviously, but. I don't know. He's not for me for the Arkle, I'll be honest about it.
The big one, 3:30. I don't know how you can pick a hole in this race. And probably again, we've a Willie Mullins trained favourite having around even money that both of us are a little bit wary of. For all that this is a horse that is a definite horse for lifetime, Gallopin Des Champs. It's 11-8. And again, that might be best price on the high street, 11-8 Gallopin Des Champs. And then you could obviously make a claim for so many, even Spindleberry coming in, and she was, I mean, people were talking to me that she was their fancy for the Thyest stage. She didn't run in that. She's going to have top weight in that, I think. I know the way you're thinking as well. Interesting, Gavin Cromwell speaking to Patrick Mullins, no less, in the Racing Post today, basically saying people might imply that it was a plan the last day. It wasn't. I'm very disappointed, and my horses aren't where I'd want them to be. Where do you start with this? Mullins dominates the race. I think he will win it. We might be taking him on here with a stablemate, a different stablemate though. You like Gaelic Warrior, who I just cannot have around Leopardstown.
I understand that definitely. But Gaelic Warrior
11-2 with Boyle Sports.
Yeah, Gaelic Warrior is in great form. Obviously, I mean that goes without saying. Probably should have won the King George.
Why should he have won the King George?
Do you not think
the whip and all? And
yeah, I think, and it's only a short head, and he's really pushing hard to the line. Look, it wasn't going to be an impressive win if he did win it. I mean, it was there were heads and necks kind of across the line. It was an exciting race. It wasn't my favourite race because I didn't think there was enough pace in it, and I thought Gaelic Warrior was probably a bit unlucky. I thought that Factifile just didn't run a race that day.
He was flat.
Factifile?
He was very flat. I thought he just like
extremely.
I'm putting him up here at 6-1 on the basis of I still like, even if you look at his run in this last year, it was a decent run, but it was flat at Kempton. You got to say
it was very flat. I actually watched it when I watched it live. I thought, do you know what? And it might have happened at one fence, and I overthought it at the time. I thought he jumped into the back of horses, and there was kind of no decision made what to do with him in the race because they were going no pace. It was a horrible race, in that way. I hate that type of race. It's the worst type of race to watch. It kind of ruined what I think is one of the best races of the entire year.
That's funny now. So people will say the King George was as good a race you'll ever see, but you looked at it. This is why we love opinions. Like it was a falsely run race.
Yeah, I just disliked it. Of course, when you get a falsely run race, you're more likely to have an exciting finish. But to me, like more of a purist kind of looking at it, I didn't like the race at all. Actually, I hated that side of the fact it was so slowly run.
Tell us why you're against the favourite. Actually,
he's
10 years of age.
Yeah. He's ground is testing, which is fine for him. But as you get older, it's going to be more. It's going to take a bit more out of you. I thought the run the last day was okay, but I'm going to be harsh here on Affordale Fury. I really felt the last day Affordale Fury was kind of and notably strong on the exchanges just before the off of that race the last day Affordale Fury. I think people were kind of saying he's race fit and he's ready to go and he's probably ridden forward and all that sort of stuff. I do think there was a big factor in that. He was able to jump out to his right numerous times, lose a lot of ground and still win the race. I haven't, and I do apologise to No Mead and to the owners if he goes and wins again, but I haven't given him the credit for that race at all. I didn't like the race at all. I mean, the runner-up was the national winner.
I Maximus. Yeah, it was ridden by Jack Kennedy here.
Yeah, I don't know. That form doesn't excite me. So I thought at one stage, 2 stages, 3 stages, maybe the race that maybe Galloping the Champ was going to come and win the race, but he didn't.
It's awfully hard for a 10-year-old staying chaser who's run the race he has to keep at it. In my view, and it's really difficult.
And you'd imagine that the real plan obviously is to go back to the Gold Cup and trying to regain a Gold Cup, having lost it. I mean, not many do it. Cairo Star did it, but it's a really difficult thing to do. And I think there's going to be another level in Galloping the Champ when he goes to Cheltenham. Now, I doubt that'll be good enough to win a Gold Cup again, but there will be another level compared to what there will be this weekend.
It implies vulnerability.
So I think, yeah, exactly. To me, it does. So look at Gaelic Warrior. I know where you're coming from, right around Leopardstown and the record and all that. And his most disappointing effort was the day he unseat, but actually it was the 2-horse race with Fact to File. I just think the ground, the step up and trip, the fact that he looks like a much more mature horse this year. He's had a nice, it's a nice break. 36 days is a nice break since the run in Kempton. I like a lot about him, and I don't think it's a red hot race. I want to Fact to File, one of my favourite horses in training. I just love the horse. His performances at Cheltenham are absolutely sensational. I just have to see where he is after the run the last day. I was so disappointed with it, albeit there were reasons behind the race being slowly run, whatever else didn't suit. Affordale Fury, I'm just not sure that he's that level. Is he that level? Am I completely wrong?
I'd agree with you. I'd be definitely wanting to see it again.
And I don't know where I stand. I know the way you're thinking. I know I don't want to back him, and if I watch him win, I'll say, well, okay, there's the Gold Cup winner back, but he has to be back to that level to win this, or close to that level to win this. I mean, it's a huge step up in what he's producing the 2 runs this season. Spindleberry is fascinating, and wouldn't you just love to see her run a big race? I mean, it's hard to imagine that she's 154 rated. She's probably a £20 to find her, or she's obviously receiving the mayor's allowance, £7. She's a lot to find, but wouldn't you love to see something like that her run a big race? But I mean she beat Kilbarry Saint a couple of lengths there in November. She beat Telepathique the last day. It's a huge step up. But I will be interested and will be hoping that she runs well. I mean, then you're down to I.N.H Maximus, who ran a game race again, Grange Clare West Champ Kylie. We've seen all these 1,000 times.
Yeah, it's I know people get like this is the race of the festival for some people. For me, it almost isn't, because we know all these horses kind of pretty much, and we've seen them run against each other a lot. But having said that, I can see why Gaelic Warrior taking on Fact to File, taking on Galloping des Champs, taking on, I know the way you're thinking, still my idea of the Gold Cup winner. But as Tommy says, so many questions to answer, and you could back him here and he finishes an honourable 4th, and connections are delighted, but you do your money. So we'll move on to the 405. I thought one of the notable aspects of this was Sean Cleary Farrell riding More Coco. Now, Sean Cleary Farrell actually rode More Coco in the Dan and John Moore the last day and had that mishap at the last in the Thyestes. So if you're looking for kind of potential narratives around the day, and we saw how devastated Sean was after the race, I just feel maybe this could be kind of a day of deliverance for him. But More Coco has to reverse form with Western Diego, and this is the Barberstown Castle Handicap Chase at 405. I quite like Ballysack's Hank here dropping back in trip, but yeah, I mean, I'm not sure he's a good thing or anything like that, but I do feel he didn't quite get home the last day. Agree with you, because he had travelled sweetly to a certain point in the race and just didn't get home over 3 miles the last day. Small concern, ground will be a lot more testing than he's ever running before, and it's just a kind of a doubt. But I would say, I mean, you might look at his form, and people will be looking at form figures and thinking, I finished 8th the last day, he's well beaten. It was actually a much better run than that. Well, he travelled sweetly, looking like a winner for a long way. I just would have a bit of concern about the ground. The most obvious and most interesting one is obviously the top weight in the pocket, who Grade 1 winner of a novice hurt. Again, he's just in that bracket of I don't know what to expect. He's a long way behind Western Diego the last time. You think he's absolutely no chance, but he's one of these ones you wouldn't fall down if he came through and won. Because I mean, if he's when he was a novice hurdler, if you said that the peak of his ability over fences will be 147, I'd said no, come on, add a stone to that, so there's that potential. It kind of makes it, having a horse like him, and I suppose they're in most decent races, horse like them that can beat you. If you're going against it, there's no danger in there. Like Jasca the Dame is favourite, I think, is it, or it's up there? 7s, yeah. So at the moment, favourite Western Diego, who won the big race at Ferryhouse.
Yeah, I thought it was tricky. I thought Jacob Ladder ran well the last day, but I think maybe 143 is probably close to what I expect him to ever reach. I mean, I couldn't expect him. I don't think he's the type of horse that's going up into the mid 150s or anything like that. Don't think there's a lot in hand. Desperately tricky race. I see where you're coming from, Ballysax Hanks. I just have a concern about the ground.
Yeah, Battle of Ridgeway, I can't remember where he was scratched from. I think the meeting was called off the last day, but I do remember speaking to Martin Hassett the day before. He's very, very bullish about him that day, so this is probably tougher, but he's trading at around 12 to 1 under Liam McKenna, who rode him at Navan that day. That's the yard, had a brilliant double. The final race of day one, so we're actually doing okay time-wise here, because we still have Sunday to get through, and we don't have declarations for Sunday, but we do have declarations for the bumper, and this is 440, 59 grand pot here. Yeah, I'll start with you on this, Tommy. I do recall Gordon Elliott being quite sweet on Charismatic Kids at the stable event for this day. He kind of seemed to be suggesting he was the one. Has switched from a small yard. He was trained by Colin Ryan the last day, and Colin Ryan spoke highly of him in Navan. He's joined Gigginstown now, and Gordon Elliott and Harry Swan takes the ride. He's hovering at 6 to 4 with Boyles. Yeah,
interesting, I suppose. Maybe that the favourite that day when Charismatic Kid won was owned by Gigginstown and trained by Gordon Elliott, who now own and train Charismatic Kid. It's interesting that they went and bought him. The obvious thing to look at when you see something like that winning from a small yard is to see how the market perceived it. I think he was about 20 to 1 the night before and backed in, and I think he returned 4 to 1. So obviously there was plenty of ability there, and people who were riding out or working with the yard really felt that there's proper ability here.
And incidentally, the horse you mentioned of Gigginstown's is with No Limit, who's a 28 to 1 chance here, but was a lot shorter that day.
Yeah, sent off favourite that day. So Charismatic Kids, you look at it, it's a difficult one to assess because you just don't know how much you might improve going into a yard as big as Gordon Elliott's. I did like It's Only a Game though the last day. I really did. Martin Brazel's horse. Thought he got into a bit of a pocket. I love the fact that he showed pace to get out of it, and it's certainly no harm that the runner-up Boystown went on to win a bumper by 18 lengths or something like that, was it? Yeah, an 18 lengths in Down Royal. So I mean, I think It's Only a Game was considerably the best in that race, and I think he's potentially very, very high class. Martin Brazel doesn't keep a lot of horses, but he just keeps good ones and does really well with them. I like the favourite. I'm not going to back it at 6 to. What are you around about 6 to 4, Johnny? Is he
6 to 4 each? 2 nearly now.
Yeah, I'm not interested in backing the bumpers. Don't excite me in terms of having a punt. But if I were to pick one of the two, I think the form of It's Only a Games race is considerably better than Charismatic Kids. You're kind of betting or wondering what maybe what improvement Charismatic Kid might have got by moving to Gordon's. I don't know. I think I just liked It's Only Game. Only concern obviously being that he wears a tongue tie.
Yeah, Rajuco Mac beat Looking for 8. It was a Willie Mullins newcomer at Limerick, but back in third was Times Are Changing, who actually was a very good winner of a maiden hurdle subsequently at Navan, and prior to that Rajuco Mac was half-length second to Ballyfad. I like his turn of foot at Limerick. Now 5 to 1 is far from a giveaway, but I'd almost let this market kind of mature a little bit to see what the odds are closer to closer to the off rather. It's very, very early days in terms of just past declaration time, but 2 horses dominating the market at the moment. What would be your best bet on Saturday? It's a tricky card now.
It's a tricky card, is right. I definitely want to take on the favourite, same as yourself in the first race. I think you'll go with Santos Espero. I do like Narciso Haas. Do I like putting up a 4 to 5 chances as best bet of the day? I don't think so. I think Son of Anarchy each way.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
Because of the price he is. He's 10s. He's double figure odds, I think. And you said, what did you say? You get 6 places, is it?
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, bear in mind now, Mark Walsh is on County Final, who might be the pick, but I do like Son of Anarchy.
Yeah, I do too. I thought it was a really good run, and I think he's maturing into a horse that maybe what they expected at when they had him at the start before he ever raced, that he might be a smart sort. I think he's starting to show that step up and trip is obvious. I mean, that he should really appreciate it. I like him as an each way bet, and he's a decent price.
Sons of Anarchy fan, or did you watch it?
No, I didn't watch it.
No. It's one of those. And what have you gorged on Netflix in recent years? Did you have any time to do anything? Not really.
No. Since I left a full time position, I did watch a few things recently, a few Harlan Coben pieces. There are more twists in that now than you'll get in the Dublin Racing Festival this weekend. Everything is. I think shouldn't say it, but it seems to run to a formula. Throw in weird twist after weird twist after weird twist, and I don't think I could gorge on 7 or 8 of them maybe leave it another year before I look at another one.
Well, we've 7 or 8 more races to get through here on the 1st of February, and it is a bank holiday weekend. Great days if you can get to the 2 days racing. It's class stuff. Let's get on to now. Tommy was actually, just before we came on air, he was talking about the Paddy and Maureen Mullins Mayor's Handicap Hurdle. Fortunately, now we don't have declarations, so this is the 12:40 Leopardstown, day 2. And basically what you're saying is, what will Joseph run in this year's Galileo Dame, who's top weight, and second top weight carried with love. And it goes without saying that Willie Mullins would love and absolutely would want to win this race, named now after both of his parents. And it's an intriguing little race on the card every year, actually, this.
It's fiercely competitive. And I like it for that. And I mean, Emmett won it last year. I'd say we all fancied Willie's horse in it last year, and whose name I actually can't even remember. Straight Home. I think we all might have fancied that or backed that each way, and it finished disappointing 7th. But it was such a competitive race. I think there was a little bit of kind of crowding in it, and there was just traffic problems along the way. But it was actually a very good race to watch. I like it this year again. I like it. I mean, obviously we don't have declarations, but it's fiercely competitive. I do like both the Josephs, Galileo Dame and Shoda as potentials. The obvious one before we talk about them is Only by Night. If she runs, I mean, she's 148. She touched 150, I think, over fences. She's effectively 20-something pound well in. I always think, I mean, it's obviously a rough estimate, and it changes depending on the grade of the horse, but I always think you should be 10 pound higher over fences than you are over hurdles, as a kind of, without saying you're well in.
Yeah.
When you go back over hurdles, 10 pounds. So when it gets to the 20-something pounds, you're definitely well in. Only by Night is a classy mare, classy over fences, hasn't had a lot of running over hurdles. It is obviously a concern. I'm sure you'll agree that when they go back over hurdles for the first time, haven't been over fences for a while.
I find it's a trip to the poorhouse generally. I just find it's so difficult. You'd want to be absolutely thrown in. Now I think she's had 4 runs over hurdles, which is so long since she hurdled.
Yes.
It'd be a major concern for me.
Look, if I go there and have a bet, it'll be an each way bet, knowing that Only by Night could swan up outside your horse going to the last and win on the bridle without ever being asked a question. You kind of know that. But this is a decent race. I mean, I do think Shoda is a decent animal. Ground should be perfectly fine. I thought the run the last day behind Radiator Springs, it was a nice little step up. On the third behind Ballyfad was a good run. I thought she stayed at it well. I like her style of jumping even. Now, if I had a concern, and I always have a concern, she did find a way to get beaten a lot in the flat. She was overly raced. I think she won at the festival last year at Galway, and she got beaten this year in the festival. I thought she was the better in the meeting. She was beaten by Teed Up. It was a funny race. She ran around a bit in the straight, I thought. I think she thinks about it a little, but maybe hurdle to give her a bit more respect. I liked her run, but Galileo Dame is definitely interested. I mean, runner up to Hello Neighbour last year in the Grade 1, the juvenile race here. Ran in the flat. Actually ran in Cheltenham last year, and actually ran better than it looked, even because I think the ground was just too fast for her. It's back on testing ground. Our first run over hurdles was Limerick Christmas. That was first run since Cheltenham. Her best flat form, her best hurdle form is all in this sort of ground. She's 130 weight. Yeah, she has to carry top weight 11, 12. It's a lot of weight. I thought whichever Joseph runs, and maybe he'll run both of them, they'll both run well. Outside of them, True Testimony, Ian Donoghue. That's an interesting horse.
Very much so. Also on chase form as well.
Well,
quite well handicapped. I actually thought ran okay the last day. Considering
key last day was a run back over hurdles, and it felt like that
was a sharp 2 miles as well.
Yeah, it felt like a get back and get your eye in for these hurdles and see, and maybe hopefully we'll have a great chance at the Dublin Racing Festival. So I could definitely see True Testimony for Ian Dunn, who's done very well. Since he started training, I thought True Testimony had a chance as well. But
such an interesting runner, like you mentioned Shoda, and I'll have to mention Cousin Kate. Cousin Kate was bought by my late friend Hugh Mulryan, who so tragically died last year. Such a promising fella in life, and this was one of the last horses that he bought for his dad Liam. And since then, it's one of these posthumous vindication things where he was a very shrewd operator, but she's really thrived. She won at Limerick readily, brilliant at Cork the last year. She's gone up another 10 pounds. Whether her own Staples can come in and claim again, we'll see. Love the way she's progressing out of Augusta Case by Maxios. Smart pedigree, and there will definitely be some emotional scenes if she wins. There already have. But what a race we have! Like we've actually nearly discussed this race more than any other race so far.
I was just going to say it, and it's a handicap hurdle for mares. I mean, I love it. It's a good addition. It's a good addition to this. It's been there a few years now. It's a great addition to the Dublin Racing Festival. It's just fiercely competitive. It seems to be a race. I know it's obviously worth a lot of money. It's a 100 grand race, 59,000 to the winner. A lot of people want to win, and it's just so competitive. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I think the beauty of it is a race like this, you can always find something in double figures. You're not looking down at 4 to 5 even money chances. You can find some double figures that you have quite a strong opinion about. I can get a real run for your money,
and a chance for a smaller yard as well to have a winner on a big day. Just to mention as well before we move on to the next race, Boyles is best odds guaranteed across Irish and UK horse racing. So if you take an early price and the starting price is higher, Boyle Sports will pay out at the better price when the bet is placed after 8 a.m. on the day of the race, and that's Ireland, Northern Ireland, UK online only. Big concession that. Now on to race 2. So this is the Novice Chase, the Grade 1, and we've 9 runners here before declaration time. So a bit like the other Novice Chase over the festival, we'll probably have a smallish field, and you're either with him or you're against him. Final Demand was superb at this meeting last year. He won the Novice Hurdle on day 1. Did come up short at Cheltenham. Was the only thing, Tommy, about Final Demand is it just became a bit of a farce race at Limerick. So I felt we didn't learn that much about him. Romeo Coolio is almost certainly not going to run here, nor is Kitts Boohill, for example. So this race is going to cut up. Maybe he'll take on Kay Doughty, who's also trained by Willie Mullins. Where are you on Final Demand? Is he going to be the new Denman? Is he that type of... He reminded me a bit of Denman as a hurdler. Is he going to be the new big thing, or where are you on...
I often think when you watch something live, that's our first time you ever see something. That's your opinion on that is your best opinion. But then the more I watch this race, the more impressed I was with the Limerick effort because he jumped so well. And I think...
He's a natural, isn't he?
I would say, and this is no disrespect to any jockey, whoever sits up on him, I think he looks like he puts himself right at fences really well, and he takes now at Limerick he took a step to the right every time he did that. Did you notice that?
Yeah,
he stepped into them just slightly right, and obviously he's going to be going left-handed this time, but he was impressive here last year over hurdles. I just love his jumping. I absolutely love it. I mean, it's just so measured, and so it's not measured in a bad way. Measured can be over hurdles can be very careful, and it means that. But his is just so good and so clever, and he pushes himself quite quickly across the fences. I thought at first I was disappointed with it. Then the more I watched it, I thought, actually, what are you really asking for? Patrick was doing what he needed to do on him that day. He always knew where he had the other 3.
Yeah.
So he didn't have to do anything with him. And then when he asked him to quicken up, you gave him a bit of a push, and you're saying, why does he need to push him in this race? But actually, do you know what? He was only stretching him out, really.
Also, Tommy, you can say he only had to be what was there in front of him. You can say he doesn't have much experience going into Grade 1. This is going to be a small field. It's not with running against stablemates. You'd imagine he'd sort of be able to do his thing.
But he's so uncomplicated as well. I mean, he's going to, I will be watching to see does he step to his right and lose a little bit of ground. Does he do that again, or is that just the way it was? He had a tendency to kind of do it at Limerick. Will it be the same here? I'm not sure. Didn't think it was obvious when I watched back his chasing debut, which was superb. I mean,
it was amazing.
It really was. I mean, I'd go back to that run more and say how excited I was about the horse than I would go to a Grade 1 second time up in Limerick. I actually just love the beginner's chase performance. K.T is a decent animal. He's a big beast, but he takes a chance at a fence. The two if they're side by side going to a fence, which one of them will come across the fence cleanly, and the other one might take a bit of a chance. But he's a big beast, K.T. He's potentially going to improve quite a bit. I mean, on official ratings, there's £10 between them. There probably will be all the careers, because Final Demand is 158, and the way we all think he's probably going to be a 178 at some stage. Yeah,
he's out of Zuska, all of whose runners have won at the track, and Zuska's last win was at Leopardstown in 2012, 14 years ago now.
You're getting old.
It might have had something to do with a record that Patrick was going for at the time, if I remember rightly, but geez, the years fly by. 2012, so we're into 2026 now, if my watch is right, and we're into the Tattersalls Ireland Novice Hurdle, and this is the 140, in which we have another we might have an odds on shot here. Talk the talk. I like this horse at Leopardstown. I think I tipped him. He was unlucky, obviously. I think he definitely would have won. Taken on, one horse that I was intrigued by here is Davy Crockett. If he were to run, JP has no other runner in the race. He's 20-1 with Boyle Sports. He's Camelot out of any power. He looked brilliant in his 3 starts. Really, really clever horse. Galway and Listowel, getting out of little pockets and winning well. And then we should also mention a shorter price horse here, King Rasco Gray, who scored the last day, beating Shuttle Diplomacy at Limerick, and that form has worked out fine. What do you like in this tricky Grade 1 with El Kairos, basically as we're recording this, going for a maiden hurdle in Thurles?
I like the race in one sense. It's intriguing, but I'm not sure that I can find what I want to have a strong bet on. I mean, Talk to Talk was going to win the last day. He's big and angular and awkward looking, and has a funny way of galloping, I think, but he's got pace to burn. That little turn of pace in the race where unfortunately he fell in, the turn of pace on the bend was deeply impressive.
That's what you're looking for, isn't it?
He went up. Yeah. He went up on the inside of Skylight Hustle. They were second and third at the time. He went up on the inside of him around that bend, having got himself into a pocket, and you went, how did he do that in about 3 strides? But he's big and long and angular, and he's not aesthetically pleasing. Let's just say it might be the best way to describe him. But by God, he's got ability. And I mean, if any trainer is going to continue to get stuff out of him, Joseph O'Brien, what a terrific trainer he is. And my God, he has the most amazing ability. I always say it. One of the things about Joseph is that his horses can run a lot and be as fresh as the last run in the season as they were 10 races previously at the start of the season. Like, he has a brilliant way of obviously looking after them. Obviously, he has brilliant staff and just
has to have brilliant staff. Like, how can he keep on top of all the horse he has?
Although it's still always amazed me all the years going to yards, and there's 40 horses in a lot, and they're going, that's him, and that's Talk to Talk, and that's King Rascal Gray, and that's
Others can't remember their kids' names, it's unbelievable.
Well, if I call my kids the wrong names once, I do it 1,000 times a day. Never mind.
It is mad, it's to keep on top. I was even thinking of this, looking at the leaders' questions to politicians today. I just happened to be watching the politicians. Like, how do they keep on top of their brief all the time as best they can? How does Aidan O'Brien know every horse? Like, every horse, no bother. And so many Galileos with white faces.
And you're 50, 100 yards away in the middle of Ballydoyle, looking across at them there, and he's saying that's that,
magic.
That's that. It's unbelievable stuff.
I'm going to say here, switch from Diesel is going to be half interesting each way. Ross O'Sullivan, she's going here to pick up black type, more or less. That doesn't mean she's not trying, but she's trying to finish in the first 3 or 4. And if you watch her race at Naas in the big one the last day, she travelled unbelievable. She just didn't get home.
Absolutely hate horses that spend so long in bumpers. Absolutely hate.
Interesting.
It's from a punting point of view, it's just a no. Forget about them. When they win, you just take it on the chin and move on. For me now, and I do think she's got loads of ability. And if you said to me, look, she's running in a really hot race, and she's rated 122. If you think that her bumper form, she couldn't exploit that, you'd say that's ridiculous.
Going for black type.
Yeah, exactly. But I tell you what, some tricky race to be getting black type. Now it depends on how it cuts up. I mean, King Rascal Gray, okay, he was receiving £8 the last day. He was unpenalised. Obviously, the rest he was up against penalised horses. But you'd love the way he finished off the race. He galloped hard to the line. I really did like that. And there was a lot of talk about him prior to his debut, and it's a long time ago. His debut was in April 2024 in that Goff's Defender bumper. He was fourth. He wasn't beaten that far. A lot of talk about him before that. He was off for a long time, but the last day felt like, and he's only 6th, it felt like, maybe he's going to realise it. There seems to be no talk about Ballyfad. There's nothing flashy about him at home, I think is what Gordon Elliott said. But by God, he does everything right. He beat Leader Dalier handy at Christmas, even if Leader Dalier wasn't at his best. At least he won the other day to give it some semblance of kind of a boost.
I actually feel Leader Dalier, keep an eye on him in the Supreme. He's I wouldn't be giving up on him at all. I don't think he was at his best at all at Leopardstown.
Oh no, and many reasons why he mightn't have been that day. And even look, Willie has the Reverend in here as well, a smart horse, nearly 100 on the flat. I didn't mind his jump. I heard somebody saying his jumping didn't think his jumping was great on debut in Cork. Like, it was probably as good as he was clean. His jumping was very clean, I thought, and in general, maybe a little tiny bit careful. But he's when you're rated 98 or 100 or whatever it is on the flat, you're entitled to be a fairly smart horse over hurdles. Blake is interesting. I mean, runner finishing in a grade 2. Beaten by Cocktail Brew. I thought it was a really good effort actually. He's rated 139. We're talking about Swift and Diesel 122. He's rated 139. He's 90 something on the flat, and he's best suited by testing ground. I could definitely see at 16-1 him running into the frame. But this is a red hot race. I'm not sure what I'd even I don't know where I'd go to back some of this because the reason being, you've got 3 of them that take up a lot of the market at the top of it. And trying to decide which of those three is the best is pretty difficult. Sometimes maybe just finding one aspect is good enough, Johnny. And that turn of pace that Talk the Talk showed, and to get back on the bridle, having been caught in the pocket, that just really blew me away.
He didn't have a heavy fall either. He had this bizarre fall, so it wasn't. I don't think that should leave a mark. It just
went high and steep, and just
if you backed him, RL Kairos. I mean, but funnily enough, both Jack Kennedy and Sam Ewing just got up and got on with it, and Sam Ewing had the day of his life. But we are on to now race 4. You do have a strong opinion on this, the Dublin Chase. This is all about the ground for Marine National. If it's like it is now, he won't be winning this, I feel, and it's not going to be much better, if any better now. The chase track is yielding to soft, and he's kind of been okay on that issue in the past. He did have that mistake. I backed him the last day, and obviously you feel unlucky, but he did make a mistake. They're there to be jumped. Still kind of slightly unsure as to what happened. You're of the forgiving type of Majborough, and so would I be a bit. I feel the last day going back left-handed, it was kind of like a bit of a, get our season back on the rails here.
I thought the same, and as well as that, even though he's beaten 3 3/4 lengths, and he's taken on the 2 horses that finished in front of him, I thought, watching the race, I thought at the line there was still plenty left.
That's key, yeah.
That's what I thought. I thought watching it going, even though like he's obviously been eased up a little bit going to line, I thought looking at him going, if this is really asked, he could find a bit more. He mightn't have won on the day, but I came away happy enough with the performance. And actually, you know what? Some of the performances as a novice were a lot better than what he's showing now. And I think it's only a matter of time before he shows just how good he is. Marine National is a cracking horse. Somebody said to me I was a complete idiot for suggesting that maybe the race wasn't over in Cheltenham. I'm not 100% sure. When Calixtos fell, probably Marine National probably would have won it, but I don't know how impressive it would have been. But the last day he came there with every chance. Having made that mistake, if you're going to make a mistake, it's probably at the right time of the race.
Tommy, no.
He
lost about 10 lengths. He lost about 10 lengths. He was literally like he was 1,000 in running.
Yeah, but it's the right time of the race to do it.
You're very harsh.
I am a bit harsh. I am a bit harsh. I just thought this Solness, who obviously is just runs really well at Leopardstown. I thought Solness was pretty strong at the line. I thought it was game effort, but again, ground will be much more testing this time. It takes a bit more jumping out of that ground and the whole lot. I just wonder will Solness be able to do the same, because it was impressive here last year. Maybe I'm harsh on the Marine National, but I am concerned about the ground as well. Yeah. It's I mean, I've had my only bet so far for the meeting, and I've backed Majborough at 9-4. That's what I've done. I've taken a chance on it. Look, I just thought I was disappointed with Cork, but I was happier, even though he'd beaten the last day. I was happier that he was more back on track.
4 races to get through briefly to close a magnificent festival. The 245s, the O'Driscoll's Irish Whiskey, Leopardstown Handicap Chase. I'll actually be doing on a panel for Cheltenham preview for the lads down the line. Keep an eye out for that. The O'Driscoll's boys will be a bit of crack that night. Back me or sack me. He bombed out at Leopardstown the last day. I seem to recall he mightn't have had an ideal prep altogether for it. He's actually only won 1 race. I'm intrigued here if he sneaks in off low weight. This is tricky though.
This is a desperately tricky race. I mean, the final declaration would be very important for this one. One of the more obviously interesting horses is Joseph's horse Kimrock, who was 128 down, 128 rated. 2 decent efforts at Cheltenham. Slightly
disappointing the last day, but it was still a decent run.
Didn't get entirely a clean or clear run, but I mean, relative to this race, I don't think it was that bad. I don't think it's that bad a run either. Now, I'd be interested to see. I definitely think he'll find a result. But I just think when I think of Joseph O'Brien backing his horses, I remember backing Jordan's in Listowel. And getting beaten by a stable companion, and then Jordan's gone out and been finishing runner-up in a Grade 1 about 3 runs later, and crying thinking about the ticket I was holding that day below the stall.
It's so difficult. As a punter, it's one of the most difficult things. It's like if you backed Rising Dust today, he was beating Kilbeggan off 90 or something. He's won everything under the sun since. Like, it's hard to deal with that. You have to get on with it, I suppose.
Yeah, you do, yeah. But I just think that's Joseph for you. He improves them so much. He moves them along so well, progresses them through a season. I think he's a genius, but he's impossible to figure out.
Bit like yourself. Right, on to race 320. This is the Irish Champion Hurdle, sponsored by Timeless Sash Windows. 7 runners or less here. even if you don't have a bet in this, you're kind of looking to see how the likes of Ansdam gets on with the view to Cheltenham and all that. Will he be a bit more? Will he finish the race a bit better? Poneros, who we talked about last week, he's been left in. Is it between the top two in the betting? Lost him out brighter days ahead.
Very interesting if Fabiola runs, and obviously I don't think he's going to beat these because I think these are sharp 2-milers. Although if you get to 178 or something that he got to over fences here, you're damn smart.
Lossy Mouth is not a superstar. She is beatable, right?
No.
And El Fabiolo was 2-9 in the champion chase not that long ago.
Yeah, this is key. Now, I do think I'm going to say because El Fabiolo again has been over fences. Now he had the run over hurdles the last day and it was very impressive, but it was 2-mile 3 and whatever else. He's so good. He was so good at his peak over fences, and he's only 9. There's no reason to say he can't be at his peak level. It's just what that is over hurdles. We're not exactly sure. He's only rated £3 inferior to Brighter Days Ahead and Lossy Mouth. They're 159. He's 156. I mean, the run the last day was excellent. Now he did jump high, but he's a big animal anyway. I mean, he's not going to be flicking across the top of hurdles. It's just not his. He's too much size for that. He's a fascinating runner now. And it'll just be interesting to see what tactics will be if he runs, because Lossy Mount went off in front last year leading Stateman and then made that mistake and came down and whatever. I don't know that you want to get into a bit of a battle with El Fabiolo through the race. I do think though, as the week has progressed, I think Lossy Mount has moved out to a more backable price. There seems to be a lot of confidence coming behind Brighter Days Ahead, and I can understand that. I can definitely understand
returning to the scene of her demolition at Leopardstown last season.
Yeah, like so impressive. In the Neville hotels last year, it's you'd say you just couldn't rule her out. It was a good run the last day, and she did seem to be ridden a bit defensively the last day, didn't she? I mean, like it was a first run and it was going to be badly needed, and just get her to finish out a race and see where she finished. She's only beaten a length.
Amsterdam, no chance.
No, well, yeah, maybe. The ground is a help. Ground will be a help because I think all his best form, he can adjust to grade 1 level, and he's been beaten in the couple of runs that he's had at a grade 1 level recently. He's been beaten in both. And Golden Ace beat him, and she's a champion hurdle. Lossy Mouth, he was 4th that day in Leopardstown. He can adjust to the level because it's you can be afford a little bit of time. He was stepping up nicely. I definitely think that both of those runs are good to soft and good to yielding. They're as quick as he's been on. I think the ground will be a bit of a leveler. But whether it's enough for him to win it, I'm not sure. Is he like a champion hurdler? Do you think he's a champion hurdler in the making?
I feel he's definitely a contender. Like I've been saying this all year, but he needs to. He'll be ridden completely differently here now. He's not going to jump to the front halfway. And they're going to ride him to. I think they're going to ride him with the view to finishing his race and that, and it might be good enough.
It might, but it would want to be good enough on this ground for it to be any chance of being good enough on good to soft ground on the first Tuesday.
Kind of thinking maybe a bigger field and a strong pace at Cheltenham, but that's not guaranteed either in the champion hurdle.
No.
Okay, we've 2 races to get through. We'll do this quite briefly. The Padel at Leopardstown Golf. Padel is one of these. Have you been a Padel?
Kids have played it.
Kids played it. I didn't even know what it was when people were talking to me about Padel at Leopardstown Golf. Padel at Leopardstown Golf launching spring 2026 handicap hurdle. Rather Jerry Hannon than me. And then the 427, which we'll talk about briefly, is the Mayor's Bumper sponsored by Coolmore. In the first of those races, the A Dream to Share story of Enigma goes on here. I mean, I still don't really know if this horse is a hurdler. What's he going to do here? Better the last day behind Lyndon Arden. Maybe he wants better ground as well. What do you like in the last 2 races?
Look, champion bumper horse running off 124. I mean, ought to be an absolute penalty kick, but I mean,
and a series flat horse actually as well.
Yeah. So we no. Look, not for me. I'm not going to back it anyway, regardless. And again, it's it goes into that category. If it beats you, so what? You take it. I started as a joke was very good the last day, and then probably entitled to be again a horse that ran the champion bumper last year, albeit well beaten, but like good enough to go over there for Charles Burns. Entitled to be sharp, but there's 2 I like against the field, and they're both trained by Willie Mullins. Stormheart, big fan of Stormheart. I think last year was juvenile hurdling was just decided to see how good it was. It ran very well. I know 2024. Sorry, then when it came last year, it only ran once. It ran in this. Was it this race? Yeah, McClory won this race last year. Beaten a length.
Yeah, I just think I tipped him in this race.
Beaten a length and ran a cracker. And then in Limerick, I thought it was an absolute penalty kick in Limerick on his first run this season. And notably weak in the market beforehand. Had me very, very worried. Now, it did get the job done, but it looked in trouble at one stage and then showed real ability, as well as good attitude, showed real ability to come through to win. 147 rated, 11-11. It's a lot of weight, but I think even if it gets beaten off, because of the weight and whatever, I think 147 is not going to be the ceiling of its ability. I do like Stormheart. And the other one that's interesting is Bunting, who I would have down as avoid at all cost type of horse. Doesn't win often enough for me and that type of thing. But the more I delved into it, it's 2 wins. It's 2 wins to date, right? One on the flat in France and one over hurdles in Ireland. We're both they were very soft ground, which I think that's just the default ground description in France is very soft. And then it was soft to heavy. Now, if you're winning on soft to heavy on Stevens' day in Limerick,
you stay.
It's not going to get much more testing than that. Is that I mean, they do brilliantly to get through 4 days in Limerick every year because you expect that type of ground. So this actually is the first time in a long time that Bunting has got its ground. Actually ran a nice race behind Champagne Kid the last day, and and that was the race I was alluding there with San Ford I mentioned earlier on. Stayed on really well from the back of the last, haven't been passed by Bunting to get back up again to get third, but they were both finishing, they were both catching the 2 in front. I just think Bunting in the ground, it'll be a huge price, 16-20 to 1 each way. I like Stormheart, he's around about 9-ish, 9 to 1, that sort of price, but both of those are prices.
Lovely stuff, Tommy. Keep your eye out for declarations. The 427, then Willie Mullins could have Maximilian Lady debut here, having joined from Cormac Farrell. Briefly, we don't have declarations here, so we probably can take a bit of an open view on it.
Yeah, exactly. Look, Maximilian Lady is very interesting. First one for Willie, having been with Cormac Farrell, beating a shade comfortably. I think by Leodon the last day, but it wasn't a very strongly run race, I don't think. And she was out the back and showed lovely pace to get into a challenge position and actually going quite well. And I think it would run over it a lot. I mean, I think Celestial Tune won at Cheltenham the last day, but I'm not sure how good that race was. And she was able to dictate or be prominent in a good position off a slowly run race. So I'd like to see. I think for a favourite, Celestial Tune has to improve a nice bit. Now she can do, and Tom Cooper's done very well with his bumper horses this year. And I think heard him saying the other day that it's his best crop of horses probably ever. So yeah. So look at wish him well with it, the Celestial Tune. But from a punting point of view, I think he just has to improve quite a bit from that run, or maybe not improve quite a bit because we don't know what the depth of this race. But I don't think that was as strong a race as it looked at the time, maybe in Cheltenham. So Maximilian Lady, obviously interesting. Sonny Carey's horse, Brosnan Shine, was impressive last day, but the horse that finished second, Araminta for Gavin Cromwell, like the attitude, first time up as well, whereas Brosnan Shine had a previous race course experience. There were 3 lengths between them. The winner did win a shade cozy on the day. Just think Araminta could improve quite a bit and is around about getting close to double figures, Araminta. Yeah,
I thought actually really intriguing runner, and maybe Gavin after the Thies days. It's still I'm not sure himself if he's happy entirely where he saw his horse there, but 22 to 1 that day and ran a really, really nice race, and probably my selection as well, Araminta. Just to reiterate that if you are having a wager on Leopardstown, it's money back as a free bet if you're second to the SB favourite across the Dublin Racing Festival, and that's in Ireland and UK online only. Terms and conditions apply. Make sure to gamble responsibly. Briefly as well, you're much more relaxed than you were, I'd say, 12 months ago. Going into this festival, you'd be flat out.
Completely different. Although I did find one thing, Johnny. Like I thought, for a fella who would work a lot of days and long days and whatever else, and I'm used to doing that, I thought, you know what, I love taking a few months off now and do very, very little. And then I thought, after about a week, I'm thinking I need some focus here. I need something to do. So even to get myself focusing, during the weekend and looking at these races, and then having, I think after Christmas, it all comes very thick and fast. And so if you're following racing, it does. So I'm glad it does, because I'd be fairly bored fairly quickly. I mean, downtime isn't for me.
Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, Johnny.
Yeah, that was Tommy Lyons again on the Irish Edge. Thanks to our sponsors, Boyle Sports. Bring on the DRF.